Determination in the face of fading hope.
We are still searching for survivors. We are still looking for more clues as to where this plane might have gone in.
As the search for John F. Kennedy Jr. presses on, Americans search for meaning and consolation.
He's like my own son.
An incredible moment of deja vu for people of my generation.
From Arlington's eternal flame to a stunned New York street, a nation is not yet ready to let Camelot's crown prince go.
This is the CBS Evening News. With Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. Darkness will soon bring an end to the second full day of searching off Martha's Vineyard for the small plane carrying John F. Kennedy Jr., his wife, and her sister. The ocean has yielded fragments of a plane and some personal belongings, but there still is no sign of survivors or bodies. CBS's John Roberts is on the Vineyard with the latest. John?
Dan, some late developments. Late this afternoon, the Coast Guard finally picked up what it considers a hard target, a brief, weak signal from an ELT, an emergency locator transmitter, in an area not far from this beach. With that discovery, the Coast Guard diverted the NOAA research ship Rudy to the area. The Rudy had spent the day plumbing the waters off Gayhead with its special side-scanning sonar, capable of sweeping the bottom of the ocean to identify wreckage. But until now, it had no hard targets to home in on. If the plane went down in that area, it would certainly account for the debris that has been floating ashore for the past 2 days. At dawn today, state police and beach rangers were combing the coastline looking for whatever the tide and surf may have washed up on shore. It was the same piece of beach that a day earlier had yielded clues to the fate of the aircraft, its pilot and 2 passengers.
That rock with the sharp point is where the black suitcase is, where the landing gear was found. And then out at that point, several hundred yards beyond that, is where the black suitcase was found.
With the Coast Guard declaration this morning that it was still conducting a search and rescue operation, even with the debris coming up in small pieces, state police were putting on a brave face. The Coast Guard says it would indicate a fairly high-speed impact. Do you have a realistic thought that maybe somebody could have survived that impact and then survived as long out in the water as it has been up to this point?
The survival in the water this time of year is academic. It is very possible. Surviving the crash, people have survived much worse and walked away from it unscathed completely.
But as the search went on into afternoon, by air, on the surface, and underwater with side-scan sonar, with no sign of survivors, even the Coast Guard had to admit that while it may be possible to live this long in that water, it's not probable. A little more for you now on this latest discovery. It's about 4.5 miles southwest of the point of Gayhead. It's in about 80 feet of water. The NOAA ship Rudy is searching it now along with helicopters. I don't know how long the search will take, Dan, but I imagine that they might have an answer inside of a few hours.
John Roberts on the Vineyard. The National Transportation Safety Board has now officially taken over the reins for the Martha's Vineyard investigation, an investigation that could take up to 9 months. Our CBS News aviation expert Bob Orr says that so far there's precious little to go on. Bob?
Dan, while bits of wreckage now have been recovered and all of the radar tapes have been reviewed, National Transportation Safety Board Chairman Jim Hall says the investigation really is just beginning, and he says it's far too early to know what went wrong.
At this point, we do not know. We will not know for some time. There is even a possibility we will never know.
To this point, investigators have little physical evidence to work with. Only small parts of the plane have been found, and they apparently don't provide significant clues as to what may have gone wrong. But even with the lack of evidence, investigators are asking questions about John F. Kennedy Jr.'s piloting skills and the challenge he faced Friday night. A CBS News camera crew flew the same route towards Martha's Vineyard in the same kind of plane, and like Kennedy, at night. Here's the view from the aircraft. It's hard to see where the sky meets the water. Veteran pilot Drew Steckety says those kinds of conditions, similar to what Kennedy faced, can be dangerous.
There's no apparent horizon. It can be hard to figure out which way is up and which way is down. That can lead to either loss of control of the airplane or loss of altitude awareness, creating a controlled flight into terrain, or in this case, the sea surface.
Investigators have also reviewed the air traffic control tapes along the northeast coast and the radar tapes. The Kennedy plane, they say, was in a faster than normal descent, but not a dive when it disappeared from radar. No distress call was ever heard from the plane. The NTSB now is trying to find 3 other pilots that may have been in the same area at the time. Dan?
Bob Orr. A shocked nation is only now coming to terms with what has happened. Returning from Camp David today, President Clinton praised the Kennedy family, saying, and I quote, "They have suffered much and given more." CBS News' Anthony Mason has written about the national outpouring of emotion.
Another Kennedy tragedy made headlines this morning, and the nation said, "Oh no, not again."
Oh man, it's kind of just really it's real sad and scary.
In Atlanta, at the gravesite of Martin Luther King Jr., many felt something slip away.
I feel that it's really going to be quite a loss because he's somebody that we looked up to. He was our prince, and we're truly going to miss him.
A political child, John F. Kennedy Jr. was a public figure from the day he was born.
We had an opportunity to watch him grow. We liked what we saw as we watched him grow.
At Coogan's Irish Saloon in New York, owner David Hunt still proudly flies the Kennedy name.
I think he was what we wanted to see the continuation of Camelot to be.
And at Arlington National Cemetery today, where a slain president was buried and Camelot was laid to rest, many came to consider what had been lost.
Because I think there was so much expectation as to what he might have become.
What would you say we've lost?
It's hard to say how far John Kennedy could have gone.
Historian Arthur Schlesinger chronicled Camelot in his book, 1,000 Days. John Jr. often said he was unlikely to enter politics.
Do you think that ultimately he might have been taken there?
I think he would have gone there. I think he, partly because he was bound to see himself as the executor of a legacy.
He was a late bloomer. His father was already a senator by his age, but the son seemed to be coming into his own. And he had more than the Kennedy name. He had all the initials.
What will you remember most about this weekend?
Just the sheer shock and horror of it. It was just too much. It happened to one family.
Oh no, not again. Anthony Mason, CBS News, New York.
For members of the Kennedy clan gathered in Hyannisport on Cape Cod, the wait for word must be agony, to say the very least. The scheduled wedding that brought them together now postponed, they turned again today to prayer. CBS's Elizabeth Callahan is there.
There was as much anticipation and suspense outside the Kennedy compound today as there was surrounding the search and rescue mission at sea. What would the family say in the face of yet another catastrophe? The answer was nothing. Columnist and neighbor Mike Barnacle believes it's because they're still clinging to hope.
I think it's what would happen to anyone in this situation, and that you would want to hold out as much hope for as long as possible until the finality of it is apparent to you.
Throughout the day, friends and family have come and gone, many of whom had gathered here for the wedding of Bobby and Ethel's youngest daughter, Rory, who was spotted waving goodbye to guests from her mother's porch. Rory's wedding tent, still standing overlooking the ocean, was put to new use this morning, housing another family prayer service in the face of fading hopes. At the local Kennedy Library and Memorial, residents and tourists brave temperatures in the 90s to lay flowers and share the latest Kennedy loss.
It's just unbelievable. It seems, they've always talked that there might have been a curse around the Kennedy men, but it's unfathomable.
People who've come here for years to pay respects to the father never imagined they'd be saying goodbye to the son as well. Elizabeth Callahan, CBS News, Hyannisport, Massachusetts.
There's more on the Kennedy story still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News. A sister's ordeal, the prospect of another loss for Caroline Kennedy Schlossberg. Flying by the numbers and how instruments could have made a difference. And the former White House photographer looks back on the images that entrance the world.
Problem?
Doctor said my cholesterol is still too high.
What about diet and exercise?
They didn't do enough.
So?
He suggested adding Lipitor.
Lipitor, the #1 prescribed medication for lowering cholesterol. In clinical studies, Lipitor with diet was proven to lower bad cholesterol 39 to 60%, total cholesterol 29 to 45%, triglycerides 19 to 37%.
He said over 4 million people have started taking Lipitor to lower their cholesterol.
Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver disease or possible liver problems, women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant.
There'll be blood tests to check for liver problems.
Tell your doctor about muscle pain or weakness, as these may be signs of serious side effects.
You take Lipitor once a day.
Ask your doctor or pharmacist for more information on Lipitor and call 1-888-LIPITOR.
Well, Lipitor did it. My cholesterol's way down.
Lipitor, the lower numbers you're looking for.
Do you dare to be there? Everywhere? Can you expose your toes? Or do you hide them because of embarrassing nail fungus that turns nails' colors, makes them thick or brittle? Well, now you can discover how it's possible to get healthier, more beautiful nails back. By calling this number, you'll receive a free video and learn about effective oral treatments your doctor has. This year, learn how to lose those shoes and love it. Then dare to be bare, because fungus-free nails are a bare necessity.
There were prayers and tears today in the quiet Connecticut town where Carolyn Bessette Kennedy and her sister Lauren Bessette grew up. CBS's Randall Pinkston reports from there.
At St. Michael's Church in Greenwich, Connecticut, it was the Sunday for the Children's Mass. The thoughts and prayers of the parishioners were for two children who grew up here more than a decade ago, Lauren and Carolyn Bessette, and Carolyn's husband, John F. Kennedy, Jr.
We pray for the three of them.
Father Michael Moynihan says friends of the Bessettes asked him to hold special services.
There were people here this morning who had something to say about Carolyn, who were friends of hers, and there were other people who simply looked at each other with tears in their eyes, and that spoke just as loudly.
So far, the Bessettes' parents have made no comment. Police kept reporters away from their home. 16 years ago, Carolyn Bessette graduated from this small parochial school in Greenwich. She didn't enroll until she was a junior, but in just 2 years, she became one of the most popular students here.
I knew her in high school.
Deborah Lamoureux was one of Carolyn Bessette's classmates.
I remember that she was just a lovely person, always smiling, always laughing.
In the senior poll, Carolyn Bessette was voted ultimate beautiful person. Lamoureux was thrilled to see her high school classmate become the wife of John F. Kennedy, Jr. and the darling of the media. And now, as the world waits.
Just really tragic, very, very sad, really hard to believe.
Hard to believe for those who knew the Bessette sisters. Hard to believe that such promise may have come to a tragic end. Randall Pinkston, CBS News, Greenwich, Connecticut.
Caroline Kennedy Schlossberg is believed to be on New York's Long Island, awaiting definitive word on the fate of her brother. She had been on a rafting trip out west when he disappeared. CBS's Richard Schlesinger has more on the lady who could be the lone survivor of Camelot.
This is my daughter, Caroline Kennedy.
She has one of the world's most famous names, but her face is familiar only to serious Kennedy watchers. Caroline, JFK Jr.'s older sister, has lived on the fringe of the Kennedy spotlight for most of her adult life, by choice.
If she is the last surviving child of John F. Kennedy, can she hold on to her privacy?
Yes, I think she's learned how to do it.
She hasn't been able to duck the cameras all the time. Her 1986 wedding to Edwin Schlossberg was one of those Kennedy events that took on the feel of a state ceremony. Caroline has appeared in public when she's had to, but seems less at ease in front of a crowd than some other members of her family.
One of the most powerful memories that we have of growing up is the number of people who come up to us and say, "Your father changed my life."
It seems ironic, but one of the few times she sought the spotlight was to promote her book, called The Right to Privacy.
Is it difficult for you to maintain your privacy?
It actually is not that difficult for me. I mean, I do make an effort to do so.
It was almost as though Caroline got off the hook, while Jackie, or JFK Jr., satisfied the public's Kennedy curiosity.
She didn't go out to the events, semi-public or public events, that she was invited to.
Yet anyone who has lost a family member knows something about what Caroline has gone through. The difference is she may now have lost all of what was once her entire immediate family. A huge private tragedy of immense public interest. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, New York.
And up next on the CBS Evening News, lessons from the cockpit.
Medicine is always changing. The managed care companies that did not change did not survive. With managed care, or HMO, a health maintenance organization, the word that I think a lot of us are forgetting is that word health. Health is what it's all about. And that's what we're trained for. Prevent disease before it occurs, because if you catch it late, then you have more cost. And so you want to provide better quality to the patient initially. Preventive medicine is probably the best it's ever been.
Today's managed health care, there's a lot to feel good about.
So I like managed care because I can treat people earlier.
Now, an important tool in defending yourself against heart disease and some cancers is in your hands. Because there's new news. The FDA now agrees that eating whole grain foods like Total, Wheaties, and Cheerios as part of a low-fat diet may reduce your risk of heart disease and certain cancers. Most cereals aren't whole grain, but all of these from General Mills are. Look for this seal to be sure and help defend yourself against heart disease and cancer.
Nicoderm CQ, what brought this on?
Last night.
Dad, when the baby comes, leave the cigarettes at home, okay?
We didn't quit for our kids.
We didn't know what we know now. Look, I talked to some guys who quit. CQ helped them do it. The 3 gradual steps. You step down your dose. The doc says gradual's the way to go.
Nicoderm CQ, the power to calm, the power to comfort, the power to help you quit.
Try new Genuine Bear Gel Caps, the only gel cap that can help save your life. New Bear Gel Caps, powerful pain relief, and so much more.
Hardly anyone knew John F. Kennedy better than the friend who talks to Mike Wallace tonight on 60 Minutes. Another encounter with fate for the Kennedy family. The latest on John F. Kennedy Jr. as an American tragedy unfolds. Monday on This Morning.
The federal examiner who tested John Kennedy Jr. is reporting today as saying Kennedy was an excellent pilot, passing with, quote, flying colors. But Kennedy was not qualified to fly by instruments alone. CBS's Maggie Cooper has more about that.
At the airport where John F. Kennedy Jr.'s flight originated, one flight school canceled half its flying lessons today due to weather.
You can't really see the horizon.
Knowing where the horizon lies is critical, says flight instructor Tim Samard. When it can't be seen visually, a pilot relies on instruments.
At nighttime over the water, there's nothing lit on top of the water, so you're over a big black spot.
Every pilot learns the basics about their cockpit instruments, but an instrument rating takes far more training. Kennedy passed the written test, but never completed all the work necessary for certification.
An instrument pilot who can't see the ground or the horizon is going to keep themselves wings level using this instrument.
Kennedy was flying by visual flight rules, or VFR, on that hazy Friday night.
And what about a visual flight pilot who can't see the ground or the horizon?
Shouldn't be where he is.
That same night, veteran pilot Alan Lewant was flying to East Hampton.
You saw the fact that everything was black and murky. I said, I sure wouldn't want to be a VFR-only pilot flying in that circumstance that night.
What kind of disorientation would that create for a pilot? If you're trying to fly visual flight rules.
If trying to fly, it'd be near impossible.
In Canada and Europe, private pilots must be instrument rated in order to fly at night. Here in the U.S., that training takes about 40 hours. Without it, seasoned flyers say a pilot isn't equipped to handle the kind of conditions that JFK Jr. faced on Friday night. Maggie Cooper, CBS News, Fairfield, New Jersey.
Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, the story of young John and the helicopters.
My feet are killing me.
You need new Podiasin Soak and Massage Gel. Only Podiasin dissolves in water for instant pain relief, then rubs into open pores for deep, lasting relief.
The pain is gone.
New Podiasin Soak and Massage Gel.
Now, from Cbond Denture Adhesive comes a fresh new hope. New Cbond Natural Fresh. Natural mint freshness and a soft, thin seal that bonds dentures to gums. Original and new Cbond Natural Fresh.
Out here, I'm in command. So am I supposed to say, slow down, guys, I'm constipated? I don't think so. You try to eat right. Sometimes you can't. Harsh chemical laxatives, they can kick in whenever and wherever. Not an option. So I rely on doctor-recommended Metamucil. It's got 100% natural fiber. Works with my body, gently, which is important to a sensitive guy like myself.
Metamucil, the doctor's natural choice for regularity.
Sundown Herbals presents its remarkable Twist and Learn label. It works like an herbal information center that helps you learn about herbs simply by turning the label. Sundown's new Twist and Learn label, where to turn for help.
Ask your doctor about Viagra.
Martha's Vineyard is always swarming with vacationers this time of year, and summer fun is usually the one thing on their minds. But the loss of the Kennedy plane has cast a pall. CBS's Jacqueline Adams has been talking to islanders and visitors.
On Martha's Vineyard's most exclusive beachfront, sadness came ashore with each crashing wave.
They didn't have really a chance to completely live.
The pains of Cincinnati came to grieve.
We stayed away purposely, but today we thought we'd come down and at least pay our respects.
Here, John Kennedy Jr. was more than a link to famous parents. Here, he was genuine family.
He's gone home to be with his mama, you know, up in heaven. So other than that, it's just quite sad.
Chilmark was the town Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis chose to call home, where residents often saw John riding his bike.
It was nice to have him here. It kept Jackie alive. And it's now that he's gone, it's over. It's all over.
Officially, of course, the search is continuing, but Martha's Vineyard natives know better than most the perils of the sea, the very slim chance of surviving in these cold and choppy waters. Parishioners at the Chilmark Community Church are familiar with tragedy. President Clinton prayed here on the morning Princess Diana was killed.
It's like it breaks my heart, and I'm sure, because it seems out of time.
Even before the Kennedy plane was missing, Reverend Arlene Bodge had titled this morning's sermon, Dandelions.
It seems like a flower has been plucked before its maturity.
Throughout the service, 3 white candles burned in memory of 3 missing souls. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, Chilmark, Martha's Vineyard.
Now, move over to the right.
If you think it looks good.
No, the other way, my right.
Wait till you know it has more standard safety features.
A little more.
And more room for you and your stuff than Ford ZX2.
A little more.
Chevy Cavalier. The more you know, the better it looks.
Perfect.
Genuine Chevrolet.
How was it? Beautiful.
You can drive away in a new Cavalier with your choice of low APR financing or big cash back. See your Chevrolet dealer today.
This is how the world feels when you have dry eyes. But now there's new Visine Tears with a unique tears formula not found in other leading brands to make dry, scratchy eyes feel moist and comfortable. Visine Tears, it gets the dry out.
From a small clog to a major problem. Next time, call a trained Roto-Rooter plumber to fix it.
Ask your doctor about Viagra.
Ouch!
Pain again? I thought your dentist said brush with Sensodyne every day.
I stopped when the pain stopped.
Keep using it. It keeps working.
Sensodyne every day. And try Sensodyne Extra Whitening for brighter teeth every day.
paint event is on at True Value. Now's the time to save on everything you need. But hurry, the event ends August 1st. The Great Paint Event, only at True Value. Great paint, great store. The country is once more gripped by another Kennedy family crisis. The story of the fateful flight of John F. Kennedy Jr., his wife Carolyn Bessette, and her sister. CBS News will have complete coverage all weekend long. And on Monday, the impact on the Kennedy family and the nation. On the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
From those long ago days of Camelot, certain happy images are burned in memory. Children innocently playing in the mighty Oval Office. CBS's Byron Pritz talked with the White House photographer who captured those precious moments.
So of all your pictures, this is your favorite?
Yeah, the one with the inscription of the kids dancing.
Cecil Stoughton was the official Kennedy White House photographer.
For Captain Stoughton, who captured beautifully a happy moment at the White House. And John F. Kennedy, his typical unreadable signature.
But after an estimated 80,000 snapshots, a mile or more of film, Cecil Stoughton says he felt more like family.
This particular one was made in 2 weeks before Dallas. This was the day that Jackie taught him how to salute.
Sharing in triumphs and tragedies, then and now.
It's just a sad time, and I feel very strongly that I've lost a good friend.
Stoughton says he is saddened but not surprised. Adventure is a part of every Kennedy man, and flying was one Kennedy boy's passion.
John loved helicopters, and this was a highlight of his life, riding on his daddy's lap.
Did he love flying as?
He couldn't live unless he could see a helicopter every day. And I gave him a photograph of one, and he carried it around like a toy, you know, like a Linus blanket. And he always had a helicopter in his mind or in his mouth. Of course, he couldn't say helicopter; he'd say helicopter.
Cecil Stoughton lives near the Kennedy Space Center with his wife and his memories of a family and a boy the camera always loved, and whose legacy has always seemed cursed. Byron Pitts, CBS News, Merritt Island, Florida.
John F. Kennedy Jr. was a big New York Yankees fan. He attended Thursday night's game, and he would have loved today's game at the stadium. David Cone pitched a perfect game against Montreal, 27 Expos up, 27 down, in leading the Yankees to a 6-0 win. And that's part of our world tonight. There'll be more on the Kennedy story coming up soon on 60 Minutes and again tomorrow on This Morning. And we'll have a full wrap-up on tomorrow's CBS Evening News, followed by a special edition of 48 Hours tomorrow night, beginning at 10 Eastern, 9 Central Time. Until then, Dan Rather, CBS News in New York. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.